Everybody, and thanks for watching the Ketogenic Fasting Project one more time. Today we're talking about somebody who's sort of a rock star in the low carb movement. And when I say low carb, these days that kind of includes ketogenic, paleo, certainly carnivore, zero carb, and all that. This project I'm doing here, the Ketogenic Fasting Project, it has evolved over time. Um, I like to say as we get better information, we evolve. And of course, the ketogenic diet is a great way for people to really learn about food and how it affects your body, how what you eat and when you eat can have profound impacts on your health, your energy level, your sense of well-being or how you feel. All that can be drastically manipulated, and certainly you can be healthier and have more energy and recover from all kinds of maladies or illnesses by having a better diet. And I don't think people are too shocked by that. But William Banting, as the story goes, was a well-paid undertaker to the wealthy and the important people in London in the middle 1800s. And he had put on quite a few pounds. He was not a very tall man. I think he was about 5.5 feet tall, and he got up over 200 pounds. He was having a lot of pain. He apparently had to walk down the stairs backwards because he was in so much pain. He had to kind of slowly go down backwards. Sounded like he had a hernia or two. His eyesight was failing. His hearing was diminished, and he was trying all kinds of stuff. He was getting exercise and trying to eat light, or what we would assume is some sort of caloric restriction. And he was not a happy man because he didn't feel good, and he wanted to lose weight. And he describes corpulence, which we'd probably just call being fat or obese, as a disease, as a parasite, and so on and so forth. And he felt that it was, I mean, he's an undertaker. He, and he has a lot of friends that are doctors and stuff like that. So he's quite familiar with what corpulence does to a person and how it impedes their quality of life. So he wrote the letter on corpulence in 1863, and to this day around the world, you will find people who use the word banting instead of dieting. If you're an American, that's probably kind of a shock to you, but if you live in some of the European countries, you may very well have heard that before. So if you go on Facebook, you'll find banting groups. They're really dieting groups that are kind of set up based on William Banting's success and this pamphlet, I guess we'd call it today, that he wrote in 1863. Now, first two editions of this he gave away for free because he just wanted to help other people. The third edition, I believe, sold for £1, which is, a pound, obviously, because it's in Great Britain. So, it might have been a lot of money at the time, but it's, it would be equivalent to like $1 in the United States probably at the same time. So this book or pamphlet is widely available for free now on the internet. If you belong to the Ketogenic Fasting Project on Facebook, which is my private group, you'll find it in the file section. So if you go on Facebook and you look at the file section on the left side of the screen there, you click in there and you'll see it along with some other books. I think I have about 8 books in there for people to read for free. Stuff that's open source now or out of copyright. A lot of times the books pop up in Facebook groups, or you find them on other websites where you can just download them and read them for free. And you can get Adobe Acrobat Reader to read PDF files to you. So if you sit down in front of a PC, or I'm sure it works on a Mac as well, you can actually have it read it to you. If you're somebody like myself who is dyslexic, or maybe you have some other visual impairment, there's ways to be able to read these books and not spend a bunch of money on software or special computers or reading machines or whatever. So anyways, I like to help promote the access to the information to people as much as anything. And the reason why I do these videos, in case you haven't heard, is because I can spend a lot of time listening to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff like that, and I realize a lot of other people cannot. So I do these videos. I try and keep them short, and I try and help people get to the information. Almost all of my reviews are really talking about other people's work, and it's all stuff that I found to be very useful myself. So, anyways, on to the next slide. This pamphlet is a short read, so if you're one of those people that doesn't have a lot of time, this is a good one. Now, it's not necessarily going to jive exactly with a modern low carb or ketogenic, or certainly not a carnivore diet, but it's not that far off. So, and you find out William Banting, a well-to-do gentleman of the time, struggled with the same problems that many people struggle with today, and he seems to have found a great answer. He, like I mentioned, he was eating light and he was exercising, and finally went to a friend of his, this Dr. Harvey, who is apparently a very well-known, very influential physician, and he said, hey, give up bread, butter, milk, sugar, beer, and potatoes. So as you can see, it's very similar to the modern sort of carnivore, ketogenic, low-carb diets. I'm not exactly sure why he gave up the butter, but at the time, they thought pork had starch in it, and yet somehow bacon was okay. So we don't know what the deal was with butter. Maybe they thought butter had starch in it as well, but I don't really know. So anyhow, he tried this and it worked. You could see here, this is the advice he got on what to eat for different meals. And when you read the letter, you find out that, there was some tonics and cordials involved, which probably wouldn't really translate all that well. Um, we don't know exactly what he was drinking, and of course, uh, people back then, their palate for particularly different types of alcoholic beverages was uh, consisted of quite a wide variety of different drinks. So who knows, what exactly they were drinking, but it started with one in the morning. So we don't know the importance of that, or what it contained exactly, but as far as diet goes in general, it's probably not all that important. So, but here's a good example of the types of things that he was eating or not eating. He was so happy with it that he decided that he was going to write this pamphlet and share it with everybody. He gave away the first two editions. I think the first printing was like 1,000 copies. The second was 1,500. And he was just so excited that he lost 35 pounds. He felt better. He wasn't in pain. He could walk down the stairs like a normal person. He could bend over and tie his shoes, and so on and so forth. And he had a lot of vigor and energy. So he wanted to share that with people. So he sat down and penned it, took it to the printer, had it printed up, and started handing them out. A lot of the books point out that he was widely criticized by the medical community at large, but I wasn't able to find a whole lot of details on exactly what was said or who criticized him, but I would imagine it showed up in newspapers or publications or something like that. Otherwise, people just wouldn't know about it. So I didn't feel like I needed to spend a whole lot of time figuring that out. There was a Dr. Helen Densmore in the United States who got wind of this and promoted it. And he actually helped fund a hospital in London which did research on what we call the low carb diet today. They never seemed to really understand how it worked, especially back in the 1800s. And of course, by the time you get to 1950, fat is the enemy. And, you know, it kind of fell off the radar, especially in the United States. So that is just one example of how what we're sort of rediscovering now, at least in a broad scope, as far as a large populations are starting to embrace this as a better way of eating. It's certainly a way to lose weight and also to remedy quite a number of different medical problems. So anyways, that's just a little historic tidbit on the story of William Banting, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please subscribe. I'm going to be generating more videos, putting out more information, and I hope that it helps somebody else just like it helped me.